Hey, welcome back to the Lightspeed Lawn Care Marketing Podcast. I have a very special guest today. We are going to be talking to Riley Pototschnik, the founder of EveryChat. And I have been a longtime believer in Riley's business ventures. Back when he was in high school, he detailed cars for a little bit and he detailed my Miata. And now he is a software engineer producing really cool products for our industry. The big thing we're going to be focused on is keeping clear lines of communication open to customers and the way that that helps you avoid dropping balls with them and upsetting them and having them leave. So everything that we're going to talk about today about communication with customers, keep in mind that the goal is to keep customers happy so that they stick around longer. So we're going to help you increase your customer retention today. Riley, thanks for being here, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about this.
So tell us a little bit about EveryChat and the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah, so EveryChat is my new product. I probably released it 1 or 2 weeks ago. Very new, lots of growth. But right now, EveryChat, the way that I like to describe it is it's your primary inbox for your most important messages. So think of all of your emails, your texts, your Facebook messages, like the primary places where people are going to try and reach out to you. They all come into one place. The thing that we were going to talk about today was keeping clear lines of communication. And a big part of that is making sure that you don't miss messages from people. When you have all of these different inboxes and things to monitor on the web, all under different platforms, it's easy to miss stuff, especially during busy season. When you have all of these messages being thrown at you, it's easy to miss those important messages. So EveryChat, the goal of that is to, take those core places of communication and create one inbox for all of those messages to come into for you and your team to watch. The goal is to make it easier for you. And that's what EveryChat does on a simplistic level.
Yeah, I have talked to a lot of clients who have considered running Facebook ads with let's keep them on platform, let's have them send messages, and we'll do some automation there. But usually you end up at a point where a human needs to interact with them. Mm-hmm. And my concern is always like, hey, who checks this? Who's going to be on top of it? And I have talked to clients out of running those campaigns because there aren't good answers to that question. Because it's like, well, they'd rather them come in through the normal quote form on the website that goes to the owner's email or the estimator's email. And having that extra inbox to check just introduces a layer of a place where mistakes can happen.
Yeah, and I will say from personal experience on my end, so EveryChat was previously called Schedule Talk, and it was just a texting platform. And one of the biggest objections, one of the largest concerns that I would receive was, it just did texting, so it's one other platform that I have to manage and train my team to look at, and it goes exactly the same concept that we're talking about here. People have been thinking about this, and it would. That very objection would steer a lot of people away from adopting text messaging in their business. No matter how awesome texting is for, marketing, we all manage so many different software products in our business already. Managing one other thing, it's tough for us as business owners. And it's tough to stay on top of all of the new messages coming in. So that's where the idea of EveryChat came from, was from that feedback that people were giving me. And that's how EveryChat evolved into more of an inbox functionality where, it's more than just texting. You've got your email, your text, your Facebook Messenger, trying to make it easier for the business. And then maybe on the side, make it easier for them to adopt some of these, like something like text messaging, or maybe some of these other important channels where you can better communicate with customers or leads. So just as a little tidbit, that's where EveryChat came from, was from that very objection that I was receiving.
Yeah. Well, do you want to take us for a little bit of a test drive?
Okay, cool. So I figured we'll just jump straight into the inbox. And you'll kind of notice a few things. This is where you'll spend most of your time, or pretty much all of your time, answering or sending and receiving messages. And you'll notice on the left, so right now we just have Outlook, all of your Outlook emails in EveryChat. Gmail is done. It is ready to go. However, one thing that I learned was whenever you want to work with what Google calls their restricted apps, you have to go through a security audit. So I am currently working with a team to get that audit done, and then I'll receive my letter of verification. Then Google will be in, or Gmail will be in the product. So maybe 3 weeks until Google or Gmail is in there. It's done, features built, but I just wanted to throw that out there in case you're like, really? You only have Outlook? Don't you also know about this whole thing called Gmail? Yes. Yeah, it's in the product. I've just held it back until we get confirmation. So
Yeah.
that aside, this is where we can call it your center of operations when it comes to messages. You've got your text messages, your Facebook messages, soon your Gmail and Outlook, and most of the time in your business, you've got more than maybe just one phone number, or maybe you certainly have more than one inbox or one email inbox. So while you just see these core platforms here, you can have several different phone numbers or several different email inboxes connected, because while I describe it as, okay, maybe it's consolidating 3 platforms. In reality, most of us have several inboxes for our business. Maybe it's your main info at email address, or maybe you have a marketing at email address, or a recruiting at email address. In reality, that the 3 categories that we've described quickly can grow to 5, 6 different channels that you have to manage. So when you think about your emails, you could have multiple email addresses connected and manage them all through every chat. You may have several phone numbers. So, maybe you have your main office number, and then maybe you have a phone number for, certain marketing materials in your business. Maybe one is on your company vehicle. Maybe you have a special one on your door hangers to track which offline marketing materials are performing the best.
You read
It
my
can get
mind.
tricky, and you can connect them all to, or have them manage them all through one inbox.
Are you ready to have a website that is effective, reliable, and at a reasonable price? With a website from Green Frog Web Design, they offer free unlimited updates, free website hosting, a free domain name, free Google My Business optimization, and monthly updates included. And this will give you a website that's 1 to 5 pages, all for one monthly price of $245. No lump sum upfront payment required. Green Frog guarantees that your website will be live in 3 weeks from their projected start date, or it is free for a year. I was saying that you read my mind about having a phone number specific to a campaign so that you could track results. Anytime you can sprinkle in something like that lets you collect another little piece of data about your marketing efforts and know that, hey, this generated results and I can prove it because this phone number was only on these door hangers. Or we gave this, you can do like call now ads on Facebook. So you can know like these are calls coming in from our Facebook campaign. That's just really cool. And it's good that you're adding this way to make that really easy for people.
Yeah. And at some point here, to really dive into the analytics and the aspect of marketing. I mean, analytics are a key piece of marketing. Reporting is something, or more analytics will be something that I add into every chat at some point here, to where maybe you can compare the performance of different numbers and see which ones are generating the most responses. Things like cool features like that will be added into the product over time. But right now you have that core idea of, you can use different phone numbers to track the performance of different advertising that you're doing, and compare it that way, instead of routing everything through one number, and then you have to figure out, okay, they came from this place and that place. It makes it easier for you, is the main point.
Can I, real quickly, can you set priority for different inboxes?
So there isn't a priority field or a priority setting built in. Everything kind of takes on the same priority. However, I will say that it's easy to kind of navigate different inboxes. So,
Gotcha.
if we just click up here, you can set up, all of your main inboxes will be kind of found in this drop down here, and you can quickly switch between them. But the nice thing about every chat being so young is right now I've built the foundation of where we'll start. And then for things like, setting a priority for an inbox or a phone number, or setting, or, tracking analytics, what analytics do you need to have in the platform? This is a great starting point to where we start building up based on feedback. in building a tool that's really valuable to people.
Yeah.
So like some of those things, while it may not be in the product now, I mean, if enough people ask for it and it's something, people will really find value in, you'll find it in product soon enough. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my answer to some of the things that may be missing right now, but will soon be in it.
You're saying I
Based on
need to start having other people approach you about my feature
yeah,
request?
yeah. Go ahead and form your own group and have them reach out to me, and you'll find it in the product soon.
So one thing that I really like about this is we've got all of our, this is going to sound like really simple, but we've got all of our inboxes in one place. So it can be somebody's job, once in the morning. This sounds like a perfect thing for an office manager. Once in the morning, once when they get back from lunch, they go through everything and they clear every inbox. So texting numbers for the business, Facebook messages, emails, all of that stuff in one place to make it really easy. And it also means that there's less excuses, right?
Mm,
When you hand this off to someone, you're giving them one tool they have to keep track of.
yeah.
And so if a text message goes unresponded to, well, why didn't you see it? It wasn't like there were 3 phones on your desk that you needed to keep
Mhm.
track of. So I really like the accountability angle of this and the way that it's going to prevent letting people slip through the cracks. You can
Yeah.
have a dedicated customer service line that customers could text, or, maybe a customer reaches out for help with something that went wrong with their lawn via Facebook. You're going to
Mhm.
be able to get back to them very quickly and not miss these important messages.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the big goals, since I was developing this for in very much a home service, trying to position it for the home service business, was a big part of that had to be you can get your team involved in the product. It can't just be a product that the owner manages. One of the early things that I talked about was, especially in smaller, this is primarily the case in smaller businesses, but the owner would get stuck responding to sending and replying to messages. And one of the big things is as you grew, every chat needed to grow with you. So here you can add your team members. You brought up an office manager. This is a great product for your office manager to use and kind of stay on top of the incoming messages for your business. But as you're a larger company, maybe you have multiple people in we'll call it your support staff, multiple people in your office replying to messages. You can get all of them involved, and then there is some basic functionality to where if a message comes through and the wrong person sees that message, maybe they don't have the best answer to a question that's come through from a customer, they can easily assign that message to somebody else in the business, which will notify that person and say, hey, you've been assigned to a conversation. You need to go into every chat and attend to that message. So it's an
That's
easy
really
way of
cool.
sharing messages between people in allocating them to the person who's the best person to answer that question. So there are simple things like that to maintain that good relationship with your customer, put the people who are best on the job up front and have them address things. There's some team member features like that in the product that will make work more efficient.
That's really cool. What is the templating situation?
Yeah. So in as far as the templates that you can find in every chat, these can be, and we'll jump into this here. So we have something called message templates, and these are often like the messages that you'll be sending over and over again, almost like sometimes people call them canned messages. And this is an easy way where you can just come in here and create templates that you're going to use, and you can easily reference those in the conversation. AI may be a part of this at some point in the future, where maybe if at some point there is that opportunity where you can train they call it training an AI model,
Mhm.
where maybe you can teach it about your business. So somebody in every chat can maybe ask a question to that AI and see, okay, hey, what is our availability this week? Or you come up with the question that somebody may ask in your business. Maybe AI kind of takes the role of templates in the future, but you can, as you're in a conversation with somebody, you can easily just reference, templates that you have. And you can assign templates. Maybe you just use, in this case, I don't have any templates created for Facebook Messenger, But you can have templates for, maybe you send, templates specific to text messages or Facebook messages. I don't know if I have any great examples in this. It may be a little bit more of a testing scenario
Yeah.
like this. That's not exactly a real conversation that goes on, but you'll find that you can have different templates for texting and Facebook Messenger. You can have them for both. So yeah,
Well, that's
there is a
great.
feature built in where you can have those canned messages saved.
Yeah. And if there are things that you frequently find yourself having to explain to either customers or leads, this is going to
Hmm.
make it where, there's a lot of times where you get a message and it's like, man, that's going to take 2 paragraphs to respond to.
Yeah.
And so it's so much easier if you have a template there. That's one more way that the ball is not going to get dropped with this lead who's asking a question about your services, this customer who needs, has a question about the upsell campaign you're doing right now. Like building those things out and anticipating questions. I try to keep a list when I'm asked a question by a lead or a client. And when I've answered that question a few times, then I'm like, okay, it's worth, throwing together a Google Doc real quick so that
Hmm.
I've got it ready to copy and paste in the future. But having a tool where it's all in one place makes it so much easier for an office manager. This also means that they don't have to have expert knowledge of your services, right? If they can recognize the question and know that the copy paste response, the template response is for that
Hmm.
question, they don't need to understand aeration in a detailed way. They don't need to understand how soon the kids can go on the lawn after a fertilizer application because it's right there for them.
Hmm.
So this just lets
Yeah.
you take your customer service to the next level while keeping the office manager efficient and not wasting a bunch of your time having to answer questions that they could copy and paste themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I say
It's
copy and paste.
very
I know it's
easy.
not. You're not making them
Yeah.
copy the template.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy for us to get bogged down by the simplest things in our business, and oftentimes when you can just master the basics, you're in a very good position. So, like the basic could be just answering some of those questions that get asked over and over and over again, in like you said, creating templates or answering sheets based on those common questions. So you don't have to take 3 minutes to write the same question out over and over and over again. You just copy and paste it. So yeah, it's those simple things that make a big difference, and that will help you, preserve that relationship with your customers. If you're having to, if you receive this question, maybe it's coming to the person who doesn't necessarily know the answer to that question, and you have to go search for the right person in the business to go get that question answered for you. I mean, that slows down the whole process of providing answers to your customers quickly. And now, I mean, we can get into the whole discussion of autoresponders in the business, and looking at it from a lead perspective, people reaching out to you for looking to potentially work with you. But just from a customer service standpoint and keeping things efficient, message templates are a game changer in many ways. Of course, there are places where it can grow, where AI could maybe jump in and simplify things even further. But message templates are a great place to start. And like you said, maybe keeping track of what are those questions that come up over and over again, and creating a template, an answer for each one of those.
Yeah. What are you hearing the most excitement about with every chat?
I mean, it's the inbox feature that is the big one. If so, like I mentioned, I described the objection that I got early on when it was just a texting platform. And I want to say this is the first time that I've, heard true excitement about the product, where people are like, they inherently see the inherent value in it, in not having to bounce between all of these channels. The ability to have your text messages, your Facebook messages, your emails in one place. That right there is the biggest deal for people. There are places where, like, there's always some new channel that people want, and that's what I'm listening for. Again, this was the foundation to start from, but the core features here, the inbox idea, that's from conversations that I've had. That's what people are most excited about.
Yeah. Well, Riley, thank you so much for coming on the show again. Longtime guest from way back when I was recording my YouTube videos on what looked like a sad little toaster. So I really appreciate you coming back on and telling the people what you're working on. It's always exciting.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And, I'm happy to answer questions. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to help.
Yeah, and we'll have a link to every chat in the description so that you can check that out, and then you can contact Riley through there, I'm sure.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, happy to do that.
Sweet. All right, guys. Hey, if you made it to this point in the video, please make sure that you're subscribed. If you are listening to us while you're in the field, maybe at lunch, give us a rating and review on your podcast app of choice, 5 stars if you got them. Thanks so much. We will see you next week.